What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Power Hour. I know my partner in crime, Mr. Jay Kinder, will be coming in hot here maybe in about 10 minutes or so. And love to get him in on the conversation, and might have another guest pop in as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys are off to a fantastic start. And, have the new success habits, have your tracking, have things back on place, really getting into the new year and making some headway, building some momentum, and, really ready to seize this year, the quarter, the month, this week, and today. Love to get any insight, anything that where you guys are challenged or scratching your head or thinking about as we're progressing here into the new year. A couple things that I want you guys to be mindful of and to think about is really, the allocation of what's required into, the second best productivity tool we have, which is the calendar, and making sure you've got right order, things that matter, allocated into that productivity tool. Like I said, it's the number 2 productivity tool. The number 1 productivity tool we have is the word no. And I love Tim Grover's take on it, is that no is a complete sentence, so you don't have to give any reasoning or rationale. It's just no. And is the thought there around the no, or even more powerful, the stop doing, is in relation to really paying attention to what are the things that matter the most, that are required of you to achieve what it is you're wanting to achieve. And I had Gogo on an episode of Expert Mentors last week. If you guys missed that, it's probably one worth listening to, especially if you're really trying to build some momentum. Maybe things are tight. Maybe your business is built off of relationships and referrals. She really laid out her blueprint of the activities on a weekly basis that's required, those KPIs, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Those required activities are behavior over time, which form our habits. And it was a fantastic episode. There's a couple ways to go about listening to it if you missed it. It is at it's on YouTube at John Kitchens. You can actually go to emlreplays.com, and it'll give you a direct link to all of the Expert Mentor series. And then, of course, if you haven't tuned in and you find value in these conversations, I'm gonna Andy Frisella you guys for a minute. And the fee to for these for the value in these episodes, man, is go subscribe to the podcast. coachcodepodcast.com. That's where a collection of all of these conversations, the Power Hours, the Honey Badger Q&As, the Coach Code podcast conversations, and Expert Mentors all end up living on the podcast. So if you guys haven't subscribed, do so. We're dropping nuggets in there every week, and just valuable insight from these conversations, nuggets, takeaways to help you guys not only, transform and accelerate your business, but also transform and accelerate your life. So check it out. So yeah, Keith, NAEA is still a thing, National Association of Expert Advisors, if you guys are wondering. And really where the association lives is within the processes of the certified home selling advisor and the certified home buying advisor designations that really give the framework and process from start to finish of working with sellers and start to finish of working with buyers. And it's really having that proven process that is duplicatable over time to be able to give you a consistent, repeatable process, no matter what, if you're working with buyers or sellers. And what's happened over time, and especially over the last few years with a lot of agents, is that they've been very reactive. And so that's really where the process is. So yeah, Keith, absolutely, man. So we will we'll hook you up. So just shoot me a DM with your information, and I will make sure you get squared away. What up, cuz?
What up? What up?
Man, the Daredevil himself.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
How amazing was that experience?
Dude, it's right up there, maybe number one. I mean, it was crazy. Skydiving is there's nothing in your brain that tells your body you're supposed to jump out of a plane. That's you can tell that as you get closer to the door.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Was
yeah,
it
when
just,
they roll that big door up and all you can see is clouds in the ground, nothing about your body wants to jump out of that door.
Man, is it just one of those things that you just trick it yourself, you just go? You just like fall into it.
Yeah, you can't think, you just have to go. Which it helps so that there's somebody hooked to you and that pushes you out the door. Because right. I don't know that of my own free will I could have done it. But yeah, I mean, it was a minute of free fall from 14,000 feet, and that you can't even measure that minute in units of time. It was like, I don't even know if it was. I mean, it felt longer or shorter or whatever, but it was such an adrenaline rush for such a long period of time. It was wild. It was fun. I would do it again for sure.
I love that.
If they could bottle that feeling up and sell it, they'd sell a lot of it. But the feeling right before you jump, they couldn't sell none of that shit.
Man, and I think that's, the power of our minds. I was reading something that was kind of an aha. It might have been yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I was listening to it, and it talked about the power of the mind, and it talked about ego, and essentially it gave the example of when you believe you're the best in the world at something. And I took a picture of the quote because it was so good. When you sometimes think you're the best in the world at something without ever putting the work in or whatever, that's kind of talking about ego. And then when you also believe you're the worst in the world at anything, that's also ego. And what he was saying is the mind that thinks it's the best in the world isn't so different from the mind that thinks it's the worst. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, holy shit, how powerful is that? Because, right, we talk about being right versus getting to right. And even sometimes when we use that self-doubt and that language of, man, I suck at this, I'm the world's worst at this, that's your ego getting in the way. And even when we say I'm untouchable, like I can crush, I can accomplish anything. And it's also stepping back or fighting for your right. And it's like, man, that's not true. What's the goal? What are we trying to get to? What's the desired outcome? And kind of thinking about that and thinking about that difference and the same, but then also pushing through and doing something that, like, I'm terrified of heights. Right. And just even the thought of going up there and pushing through that fear, and how can we use this into this new year, into real estate, into this market for a massive amount of agents that have never experienced anything of a seasonality or have experienced anything like this. Like, how can those thoughts, their mindset, overcoming their doubts, their fears, how can we just our experience, that conversation, your experience of jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, like how can that translate and help people moving into this year in their business?
Well, it's like, that quote, do something that scares you every day. I think, part of it just comes when you decide you're doing it, and I decided I was going. And then, after that, it was pretty much, you have to dampen down that inner voice, that inner bitch, if you will, and just go through with it. But I think once I made the decision to do it, it was done. There was nothing that was going to stop me. I just had to not let my inner voice get to me, throughout, waiting, sitting around waiting, all the testing, getting in the plane, they roll up the door, you're not going. So, but yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The best part of it is afterwards when when you did something, that epic and scary that you're not really something that you want to do. And after that, anything else that you have to do, even if you don't want to do it, or it's hard or it's scary, is quite easy. Like we went paintballing the next day, and I was laughing. I was like, I mean, there was professional paintballers out there that could put some dots on you for sure. And like, there was nothing scary about that. I was like, this is a cakewalk compared to yesterday. So, I think it gives you confidence that you can do anything, when you do something like that, there's nothing that you can't do, right? It gives you just a boost of confidence, to push through things that aren't really that hard. At least that's been my experience having done that recently.
I 100% agree with you, right? It's just like, even on the endurance side of things, when you accomplish something and then you look at something, like so small after that, it's like it doesn't even scare you, or like you don't even have.
You know what it is, dude? It's the it's in Goggins' new book. What is it? Never Finished.
Right.
It's that 1 second decision, right? Like, anything that you're doing, especially running. I have bailed on Ironman and all that kind of stuff. I don't have the desire to want to do it. But even when I'm working out or running or whatever, and I know you go through it, you've gone through it so many times, you know that feeling that, you have to push through, but it's that 1 second decision. And that 1 second, like I was in the shower after my run this morning, and I didn't want to get in the cold shower. I wanted a warm shower. But in that 1 second, I just jumped in and took the cold shower and dealt with it. And it wasn't that big a deal, but it's that 1 second decision. That 1 second decision is when you have to do it. And you get 1 second to do it. And once you make that decision and move forward, that's how you push through. I mean, you tell me, I mean, what's your experience in all these runs you've done where you're broke down, your feet are hurting, or you want to stop and you're gasping for air? How do you get through those moments that are difficult like that?
I think for me, it's always been having, like when I did the first Ironman, it was more of I wanted my kids to say my dad's an Ironman. And so when I was in that back half out in the dark part of maybe the second lap of the run, and mentally, when I got out of the water, I'm like, game over, and I'm an Ironman, because that was my biggest fear was that swim. And as soon as I got out of the water, it was just that feeling like, this is done. This is just a matter of time. And then when I got on the back half of that run in the dark, away from all of the excitement and the party, that's where my mind was like, dude, you got to go another lap and a half, right? So it's like that little inner bitch. And then I just started thinking, visualizing all my kids saying, hey, my dad's an Ironman, my dad's an Ironman, my dad's an Ironman. And so that really helped push me through that finish. And then, like the other one of them was my dad was there. I wanted him to see me finish. And then, there was, that the 100 miles during the summer, it was more of, I'm like, there's just no matter what, there was no way I was not finishing, right? Like they would have had to, carry me off in an ambulance if I wasn't going to finish through that. And it was just one of those things that, and Goggins talks about it too in his first book. He talks about the cookie jar. And so anytime you start to face anything hard, you can always tap into those other things. And my question though, because what you said, and I think this is what we see a lot of agents, they go in almost fearless. They're tapping into things. They made the decision, but like you said, you're sitting there and time goes by. Mm-hmm. What were you focusing on? It was done. You were committed. You weren't going to back out now. Like, what were you focusing on? And then how does that carry over for agents, people listening to this, how they can carry it over into their business?
Yeah, good question. On the drive there, I was convincing myself, maybe not even truthfully, but I was convincing myself that this is actually, I'm more likely to die in a car wreck on the way there than I am in the actual airplane. Then when I got there and I saw this outfit and how they were operating and the safety, went through all the safety things, and the guy that I was jumping with had jumped 2,000 times. I'm like, this is not dangerous. And I continued to kind of have that self-talk that this isn't this isn't something to be afraid of. This is just an experience that you want to have. And so that was consistently going through my mind. Like I got the video and he videoed me like raising up my hand to see if I was shaking, and I wasn't shaking, but I wasn't thinking about jumping out of the plane. That's not what I was thinking about at all. That was the last thing I was thinking about. It got a little bit, I think, you block it. For me, I just block it out. I've done it for most of my life for either good or bad. I've blocked out the things that if I feel like I don't have control over it, or isn't going to impact me right now, I just don't think about it. Like, I block it out. I don't even think about it. And so for that whole period before going up on the plane, I was just enjoying being present in the moment, being there, watching the other group, watching people that were, that were coming down from the first trip up, and just kind of watching the whole experience. But for me, it's sometimes you just have to not worry about something that isn't to deal with. And so that's for me, that's kind of how I've always operated. A lot of bad things have happened in my life over the years. And, if it isn't something I can change the outcome of, or if it's something that doesn't impact me right now, I'm not going to worry about it. There's nothing I can do about it. And so, I think that's, probably a lesson that would work well in any situation. If it's not something you have control over, there's no reason to worry about it, because you don't have any control over it. And if you have something that you think's coming, or that's in the, that's down the road, that's going to impact you, either attack it and do what you can to fix it, or don't worry about it until the actual moment that you have to worry about it.
That's such a great point. And, even, and we'll carry this into the business side of things, but like even, run wise, it's like, focus on the things that you can focus on. Like, I can focus on my breathing. I can focus on my stride. I can focus on my head position. Like, I can focus on those things that are within my control. And I think that's like even carries over into the business side of things, is that I think, like, for you, if you would have just fixated on jumping out of the plane, right? Like, it might've paralyzed you a little bit, and then like you'd have been dead legged, and then you would have just pushed you out. And I think that's with a lot of agents, right? They get fixated on the bank account instead of being fixated on the things within their control that they can do on a daily basis that's going to move their business forward. Like, for you, it's like understanding whatever they're teaching you, your technique, your gear, your breathing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep. Yeah. The whole time, he was giving instructions. I was intently paying attention to the instructions, A, because I didn't want to mess up, but B, because I wasn't trying to think about what I was about to have to do, and let that inner talk start to get to me. So totally the case, especially, it is, in the business side of it, it's focusing on the leading indicators, not the lagging indicators. Your bank account is where your bank account is. What you can focus on today, or even if like you're coming up on a month where you're short, or you're not going to have enough to pay the bills, or whatever the case may be, like, that is what it is. What can you do right now? What can you focus on today that's going to change that? And stay focused on doing those things, and calendaring the right activities, and being disciplined, and that, I've really enjoyed, Goggins' second book here. I'm about probably halfway through it, but it's discipline, right? What are the disciplines? That's the way you change your DNA, is discipline. And, whatever the problem is, you can change it with discipline. And that's, that is really the key to success. Not the easiest thing to do, but it's the only thing that's going to actually change it.
It is. And, we hear it a lot, Ryan Holiday's, new book, Discipline is Destiny, which it's the second of, he's kind of breaking down the Stoic virtues. And first one was courage. And then this one is discipline. And the way I loved how he broke it down. He said, courage is putting your ass on the line. Discipline is keeping your ass in line. And I just thought that was like, man, like you had the courage to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. The discipline was you stayed in the fight, and you jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. And it's the same thing, I think, as it translates into business. It's the courage to want to, make $100,000. It's the courage to want to get to 100 transactions. It's the courage to want to keep going. And the discipline is to stay there, right? Stay in the fight.
A great example of that is, as I'm writing this chapter for this book that we're doing with Nick Nanton on your first 100,000, there was never a day that I wanted to call expireds and FSBOs, that I was excited about doing it. But I had the courage to do it. And then I was disciplined enough to do it maybe not every day but for long extended periods of times every day. And that's the outcome. And really, as I'm kind of writing this chapter, the outcome that I've seen for agents that have done that is they got through all the worst case scenarios in their head they think could happen when somebody says no to you, and it no longer really matters. It's not even an issue. It's not like your fear of hearing somebody say no, especially agent attraction or whatever the case may be. Once you get enough no's, I mean, it's like, whatever, where's the no's are leading to the yeses. So how many no's do I have to get? Give me all of them as fast as possible, because it means there's another yes coming. And once you have that experience of having one yes is all it took. I'll never forget the first listing I took from a FSBO. I was shocked that they listed it with me. It was on 3001 Stratford, which is right down the road from where your dad lived.
Yeah, it's right next door. Right, it's 2 doors down.
2 doors down, yeah. And I'll never forget that when they their name were Nelson. I remember their name. This is how long. This was like 20 years ago.
I think that's the house. It's on the corner, right?
Yeah, on the corner. Yeah, Nelson's were their name. And they said yes, and I was like, holy shit, there's a chance this can work. And after that, you couldn't keep me from calling. You couldn't keep me from calling them, because I was like, man, if one said yes, then maybe there's more than one out there. I just got to do this over and over and over again. And, even if it takes me all month, I only get one. That's just one I didn't have. And so, that is the discipline. But it takes courage to go through the uncomfortableness of not knowing how that process is going to go, especially if you haven't been trained through our stuff and our training and stuff. Which at that time, obviously I didn't know anything. So I wasn't following a process. I was winging it. But I'll never forget, there's been many times in my life where that one little victory, it's like golf. I mean, hell, it's just like golf. You know what I'm saying? That one good shot is all it takes to get you back out on the golf course. And you're like, okay, I can hit it straight and long at least once today. So maybe I can figure it out, and that's, what gets me back every time.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's, one of my little writer downers out of Goggins' book was, effort doesn't require talent. And so sometimes, people try to, I don't have the talent, or I got to develop the skills. Yeah, skills are important. However, effort doesn't require that. And so being able to put that effort in, I think is key. And, the other thing, just kind of that whole math equation, right? It's just, if we're not getting enough yeses, it's because we haven't got enough no's. And if we haven't got enough no's, we haven't made enough offers, right? You haven't offered your services or help to enough expireds to get enough no's, to get enough yeses for sell by owners, whatever the, that avatar, that ideal client that it is. But, really condensing the things down to within our control is kind of what we were talking about, is that, we've talked about this for years, right? The straight line, A to B kind of concept. And there's a lot of A to B's within the A to B's. And so, maybe you have this destination of freedom that you want to achieve by the end of the decade. Then you have another B that you want to get to in 3 years. You have a B you want to get to at the end of 23. You have a B where you want to be at the end of Q1. You've got a B, for this month, for this week. And then you should have where you're starting today, and you should have a B for today. And what are you doing within your control to get from A to B today? Because if you stack enough of those A to B's, it's going to end up where you want to go. And I think that's where a lot of agents, and I know you've seen it over the past as we're going on, over 15 years of working with agents. This one of the things that I see, man, is that they just, they either they stay fixated. They don't have a destination, right? They just spiral. They just spiral. And they really don't set the destination on that kind of, that line, that linear, that path. And, for agents kind of thinking, and obviously December, most of them are reflective, or they're thinking about where they want to, go with their new year. I think that's what they do. They think about what they want for the new year, yet they don't reverse down to what they need to do daily to make progress on it in order to achieve it.
Yeah, 100%, dude. It's all about the daily. Like, if you let a week, a month, a day, a week, or a month get past you, and you're not tracking what you're doing daily as it relates to the weekly, monthly, annual goal, you're not going to get there. Like it just, there's just no way. And there was somebody that texted me and asked me to add him to a calendar invite. And it was $100 million team or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty much open. And he could have just been like, yeah, that'll work, 3 o'clock or whatever. But he's like, hey, can you send me a calendar link? And I was like, I already know this dude is on his game. Like, I already know how he got to where he's at, because he operates by a calendar. He don't just let things loosely get put into his calendar, into his day. And he books it and makes sure that it's blocked and he's there for his appointments. And, that is one characteristic of success that I've seen over and over again. And it's usually we see the transition from people that don't plan their day, understand what are those daily numbers that they need to hit, and then start getting to those results so much faster. It's like, but you got to have you got to have that North Star where you're trying to get to, but you got to, if you ain't doing something daily, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. And, I go back to, and it's funny listening to everybody that was riding with us during that time. They hated it at the time, yet they respected and value it so much of, we would make everybody on the team print out their calendar and bring it into our morning huddle. And we wanted to see details. Like, I don't want to see prospecting. I want to see who are you prospecting to? What's the hierarchy? Who are you going to be communicating with? If you had to get somebody under contract this week, you had a gun against your head, you had to get somebody under contract this week. Who is that person? Where are they at in your calendar? And, it resonates a little bit different now than over the last couple of years. However, those that stayed disciplined to it over the last couple of years are light years ahead of those that are trying to really get it dialed in. But it's not too late. And I believe it's absolutely critical that the level of detail that lives in your calendar will really, determine kind of where you end up. And man, it was really cool to hear Glenn say that. He said, what are your habits? He said, actually, just show me your calendar and I know what your habits are.
That's it.
That's it. We used to joke, hey, show me your calendar and I know what your income is going to be in 90 days, which is true. I mean, we didn't really joke. We laughed about it because we knew it was true. But hearing Glenn say that, it really resonated at such a deep, deep level. And he said, if you don't have anything in your calendar, then I know exactly what your habits are. It's like, love it. Love it. Well, appreciate you guys hanging in here. Man, thank you for letting Cuz and I chop it up and ramble a little bit here. But yeah, man, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it in. We would love to help you guys get untangled, get unpacked, get clear, knowing where that destination is for you, making sure you've got a great plan in place, and carrying it over, like what we talked about, to the calendar, and just making sure you guys are showing up like you're supposed to show up every day.
Yep. In the day.
What are you kind of how have, because I know you've been talking to a bunch of agents here lately, like what are you experiencing or hearing, or kind of what's the concern, what's on their mind, just from and in the conversation, but then you also, are such a student and study kind of the industry and the market that you're seeing, maybe that 30,000 foot view. What are you kind of hearing or seeing or kind of anticipating moving into this early part of the year?
Yeah, it's really kind of fascinating. I mean, I'm having a lot more conversations lately than I have been, during the holidays and whatnot. So I'm kind of fresh with some of the challenges, and I had a guy yesterday that they're seeking. I mean, I think there's a ton of people out there that have been doing things that aren't working, and they don't know where to turn, and they're open-minded to whatever you might be able to teach them. More so than I've seen in a long time, which is not necessarily new. I think the shift that started last year is we started seeing a lot more of that, but people are becoming a lot more open-minded. And I think that, that's a good sign. Now, as far as the market goes, it seems to me like, based on the numbers that we're seeing right now, stacked up from December, it looks like it's not going to be, a tremendously down year. I think at one point I saw 1 million a million less home sales. So going from 6.3 to 5.3, which is basically like 2019 numbers, which is not a bad year by any stretch. That's still a whole shit ton of real estate being bought and sold. Yeah. And so I think that's, slightly down, just, having to change the approach and having the conversations at the dinner table that buyers are having are different with interest rates the way they are. Sellers, not sure where they're going, what they're going to buy, is now that, people are concerned, they don't know, and they're looking for that voice. They're looking for the voice to give them information of what's to come. And so I think, now, just like we've been saying for the last half a year at least, you should be the one that studies the market. You should be the one listening to the KV Core stuff and putting that out into the marketplace, because I think all in all, people are just interested in good information, just truth, no more bullshit. I think we've heard the last couple of years enough bullshit, especially in the media and from various government bodies, that people are just looking for what's true.
Yeah. Helping them get down to that, right? And I think understanding, how we behave as humans when that negative emotion goes up, right? Where there's a negative, apprehensive, I'm pausing, I'm paralyzed, the negative kind of feeling, the negative emotion. What happens when that goes up means understanding and trust, it goes down. So for what you're saying is so spot on and so important for, in your local area, maybe your geographical area, like your market as a whole. What are you doing to educate, like what you just said, to help create understanding and build trust? And, it's just being you times time is what builds trust. And no matter what happens in the world of real estate, it'll always come down to a decision of trust. So what are you doing to position yourself in the marketplace? And I mean, I think that's what you did, what we continue to do, that was world-class through all of the different, channels that we could get it out to, because where the eyeballs were, either via radio or postcards or newsletters, even a little bit of stint on TV to billboards, and all of our messaging was that we were helping to create greater understanding, and we were doing it over time. Being genuine and authentic is what built trust in the marketplace, which allowed us to gain market share.
Yeah. And another point to that, I would say, is that we were telling success stories, right? Like we were consistently telling success stories, like selling, people selling it, for their asking price in the marketplace, person buying, the home of their dreams, like consistently putting out success stories, which, by the way, is something that I think we've gotten away from a little bit at EXP, and sharing all these ridiculous success stories that we have with agents coming on board and people moving over. And we've kind of been, our competition is following our game plan, and they're all out there doing what we've been doing all this time. And, we've got to continue to turn up the volume on the success stories of people that we have, and give people, some belief and some hope that, hey, it's not that bad. You're just not in the right place.
Man, you're so spot on. And that was kind of the message from Kyle Whistle, and he said, hey, there's a lot of people out here that are good at making empty promises to get people in the door. Mm-hmm. He said, yet their business back door is wide open. And what's happening is that they're making empty promises to get them in the door, and they're out the back door as fast as they came in. And to your point, one, deliver on your promise, right? Do what you say you're going to do. Marketing is getting, but marketing is also keeping your people. But how do you celebrate them more? And that was Kyle's point. What are you doing to celebrate your people more? What are you doing to celebrate your clients more? And that's just been kind of that was a big rider downer for me. And we all can be doing a better job at celebrating our people. And, celebrating your clients, I think a lot of agents do a decent job of. Where I think they could do a better job is telling this story, right? Mm-hmm. And really, the whole goal of a testimonial, guys, is life before you and life after you. And so, like in Jay's scenario with the Nelsons, with an expired situation, that story was life before Jay, and then being able to help them deliver on the results with life after Jay. That's a great success story. It's a great testimonial, especially to expireds. And those are going to be critical in your marketing efforts because there's believability, and people don't trust anybody anymore, right? And so you've got to have those third parties, those success stories, those examples, those case studies, those testimonials to help validate what it is that you do and help build trust within your community, within your marketplace.
Yep. No doubt about that. This whole webinar that we've been doing is on, really it's around message to market match and understanding, who you're speaking to. And like with expireds, just because you gave that example, it's such a great example. If you can tell someone's story of how they had listed their house with another agent, they didn't get communication back from them. They didn't make any price adjustments. The house didn't sell. Now they're concerned. They were concerned if they were going to be able to get moved or not. This and that, and the other. And then we called Jay, right? And we used to run those testimonials in the newspaper. I remember that one time we ran an ad for a house that we listed in what's that subdivision Larry Wilson built over there on the east side.
Yeah.
That over on the east side, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Pebble Creek. And it was the neighborhood that butts up to it. But Linda Parker, that agent, got so pissed off because I ran a full page ad with that house sold in X number of days when it was on the market for 6 months, and we sold it at the asking price that she had it at as well, and we sold it in days. And so she was all pissed off. I mean, that sorry for your bad luck, but that's that's the truth, right? But when you can tell those stories and you can have that, and you can direct mail that to every expired, and we would do it in, print it out in an envelope, and we did postcards. We did a bunch of things over the years, but that resonates with somebody who just expired, right? How to sell great homes that didn't, how to sell a great home that didn't sell. You're speaking directly, message to market match. That when you start matching up your success stories with those situational marketing to the right market with the right message, that's when things start to really come together for you. And, that's what I love about marketing is just understanding, no matter what the success story is, try to match that up with who that target market is. And you're going to get way more, you're going to attract way more and get way better results with it. So
100%. I'm gonna give you guys a little pro tip here. Okay. I know kind of started the call off, with NAEA, and I talked about the Certified Home Selling Advisor and the seven laws of CHSA. When you have these examples, when you have these success stories, okay, all you need to do is jump on a Zoom with them and hit record and just ask them kind of the questions that relate to the 7 laws. How was your experience? How was our expertise different than your previous situation? Were we able to help you, right? So you can just go through, and you already have kind of, if you just hit on the seven different laws, you have the questions right there, and just ask the questions and let them talk. Hit it on Zoom, hit record. Now you have a video of it. You can take it and chop it, the little sound bites. Now you can get it transcribed. Now you have it in written form. You could utilize their picture and a little soundbite on postcards, on, marketing materials as you're going into the homes. You got to have it so you can use it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just everybody's not afraid of video anymore, right? We're all accustomed to jumping on Zoom, even your clients, even your grandparents. Jump on a damn Zoom, hit record, and ask them the questions, and now you have it. And you got to have those case studies. You got to have those stories, those examples, because it's just going to help validate what you do and continue to build trust in your community. Keep it simple, man. Kind of quiet. Everybody's listening in. Everybody's listening in. So fantastic. Well, if you guys have any other questions, comments, throw it in. If not, we'll let you guys get back at it, and really want you guys to get clear of what it is you're trying to achieve, but you've got to reverse engineer it down into the things that are daily within your control. Set those big goals that are going to scare the shit out of you, right? Jumping out of that airplane and making that decision, making that commitment to do that, and then just focusing on the process, the things within your control to get you to that desired outcome. Boom.
Right on. Good stuff.
Cuz,
y'all.
Appreciate you. You guys, if you need anything, that's what we're here for. Feel free to reach out. We'll get you squared away. And Keith, make sure you message me. We'll get you taken care of. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.